In this lesson, we learn how to write a block of animation. Let's see how we're going to do that in Xcode. Here, I'm going to go ahead and say, let's make a new project. Let's call it animation block. And in the animation block, what I want to be doing is I actually want to have myself an outlet. So here, I'm going to go to the main storyboard. In the storyboard, I'm going to make myself the red view as we have been doing on and on in this section. So here, this is the red view. And I'm going to make the outlet for it as well. So at IB outlet, weak variable red and UI view. So this is the outlet that I want to animate. And now let's see how we should actually cause the animation for it within our code. I could run the animation using a variety of methods, such as having a button or waiting for a timer or anything like that. I'm going to opt for an easier way in here. It's just simply for me to write less code and be less overwhelming rather. So I'm going to say it happens when I do the touches ended. So when a touch lands on the screen, I'm going to run this animation. You could trigger it using anything, basically a method or a function that happens after a certain time or anything like that. In here, once the touches land, I want to run this animation. How do I do it? I'm going to say UI view dot animate, and then within the animate we have multiple different options. The option that has just the animation or the one that has animation and completion. I want the one with animation and completion. I'm going to say the animation duration is say 2.0. Then it's going to ask me for a closure of animations. I'm going to say the animations that I want to run are these. I want red, and I want the red dot, for instance, alpha to become 0, which basically means make the red completely transparent. It's giving me an error saying that when you're using objects from your class within closures, you have to actually start them with self. So we know which one it is. If you're interested in knowing why this is happening, it's simply because your closure could have another object called red. And because of that, it needs to know which one you're referring to. In any case, I'm going to go to the completion. The completion has a Boolean value. I'm going to call it result. That's what I usually call it myself. And here I want to say once the animation ended, we should do something. Let's first run the application once, and then we will decide about what we should do in this completion block. So I'm going to run this, and once it runs, it's basically going to show me that when my touch lands and lets go, when on the touches ended, it will make this object disappear. So I'm going to let go, and the object is completely gone. And of course, if I play it again, nothing is going to happen because alpha is already 0. So it's going to go from 0 to 0 in 2 seconds, which basically means nothing is going to happen. Now, let's go ahead and say in the completion, we could do anything. We could, for instance, run another block of animation. So I could, for instance, say, let me get myself a little bit of a space. I could say UI view dot animate, this time without a completion. And I'm going to say in 2 more seconds, do this animation, which is red dot alpha, make it 1, bring it back to life so we can see it. So if I run this animation now, we could see that when I tap, it goes and disappears, and then it comes back. And of course, I can repeat this as many times as I want. So this is pretty much it. The simplest form of running an animation using animation blocks. What it does basically is that it runs an animation within a certain period of time. It has a bunch of animation, and then it has a completion block that decides about what do you want to happen once the animation was done. You could have the completion or not if that's something you don't need. And that's pretty much it. You can run any kind of animation. For instance, I could go in here and say in the animation do self.red.center to be a CG point of 2 values. These 2 values, one of them is going to be self.red.center.y. So basically means don't change the y, keep it wherever it is. Also get the other one for the x and add 100 to it. So basically means take the x wherever it is, add 100 to it. So let's run the application again. This time around, when I press the button, it goes to the right and then disappears and then reappears. And if I tap again, goes to the right until it's completely out of my screen. So that's pretty much it. Let's keep it up to here and let's move on to our next lesson.